When it comes to JoJo, one of the themes more often told is to overcome the burden of fate that shackles people to their core. No one has a more understanding of fate than the main villain of the series, Dio Brando. He is so aware of his own placement of his life, it's almost self-aware, and his entire goal is to place himself above the cycle of fate to obtain heaven. This came to fruition during his 100-year imprisonment in the coffin. The Joestar's fate is to challenge Dio, and subsequently keep in check his hostile takeover of the world. In the final installment of the main timeline, we get to see the influence of Dio and his descendants.
And let me tell you how much that blows. Dio's not a very, Dio's world vision is not a good world.
The only child to actually pursue his ideals in a calm manner that better helps the people around him is Giorno Giovanna in Golden Wind, and we'll get into that later.
だが今は理解できた。俺はこの能力のために存在していたんだ。あの神父を命がけで守る。そして最高だぜ、ボヘミアン・ラプソディ。
Let me tell you about our boy Ungalo. This is the most pathetic of the bunch of Dio's children. Ungalo shows up in the story as a doped-up junkie willing to kill anyone he can to escape the hole he's dug himself. A lot of people gloss this over, but the Brando bloodline does have a tendency of addiction. Dario being an alcoholic and Dio having a strong taste of it as well, before the fate of the stone mask guided him onto his path. Much like how Pucci guided Ungalo into the fate of an overwhelming power of fantasy, that being Bohemian Rhapsody. The neat thing about his stand is it's cataclysmic. In fact, it has one of the longest reaches of any stand, that being the entire planet. Only a couple stands can affect the world, that being, well, the world and Made in Heaven. Bohemian Rhapsody brings stories to life. Things like Pinocchio, Red Riding Hood, and even anime characters like Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. This may sound like a fun time, but it's evil. When you notice a character that you know your soul is split from your body, this forces your soul to be destroyed effortlessly by playing out the events of the stories. If you have a stand ability, or if you try hard enough, you can kill the characters.
And the only reason why they went back to normal is because Weather Report completely nullified his stand by just making, like, Van Gogh, like, draw a character called Putback Man. And Putback Man just fucking removed all of the negative side effects of Bohemian Rhapsody and then defeated Ungalo, and Ungalo decided to be like a druggie again and like pass out.
That's because Ungalo realized his imagination means nothing now. But Dio's children really have this hard end of life.
And it's not even like their fault when it comes to these stand encounters. These stands have a lot of utility, and they only lose because they just awoken their stand abilities. They had like maybe like 3 days of trying to figure out what they can do with it. And then they were fighting, like, the Joestar team, which had, like, months in prison, and was constantly fighting against other stand users.
So they were just, Pucci was just using them as roadblocks. That's all the Dio children are.
The
second son of Dio to be sent to handle the Joestars, he is an interesting case since he has a noble air about him. Unlike Ungalo, where he has, like, the absolute worst characteristics of Dio, Rikiel has the curiosity of human potential. He is indebted to Pucci, and he believes his happiness and growth as a person is related to the aid of the Heaven Plan. As someone that was stricken with panic attacks his entire life, debilitating him, Pucci showed him that he was actually using his stand ability against himself, this ability being the frighteningly fast Sky High. Now, Sky High is interesting since it manipulates a life form known as rods. These rods have the unique properties of being fucking faster than the human eye and eating the heat off of objects and people. This can cause the effects of a panic attack like the cold sweat, droopy eyes. He can also attack certain locations the closer he is, such as the hypothalamus, to cause like a time lag effect, or he can just straight up kill a target by hitting their brainstem, killing them instantly. Yeah, no. Fucking Sky High is terrifyingly dangerous. Like, it...
Yeah.
Like, Rikiel was, like 100 meters down on the ground, and he was able to, like, crash a helicopter.
Jolene was only able to beat him because of, like, a misplaced hand. Like, he'd almost killed Jolene, Hermes, and fucking...
Emporio.
I forgot Emporio's name for a minute. Emporio. Yeah. Yep, that's Emporio's name. He's Emporio. I don't like Emporio.
You can see that Rikiel is these guys have gifted stand abilities. Like Rikiel starts learning and pushing himself to evolve to become a better stand user during said fight. In the fight, that's like lasting like 5 minutes in like close to close hand to hand combat, and like Rikiel gets the like edge above Jolene, not once but twice. The only reason why Rikiel lost is like what my co-host said.
As it was a fluke. And then Rikiel goes into a little spiel about, like, destiny. It's like, oh, was it me the priest wanted? Or was it you the priest wanted, Jolene?
シートに座りなよ。そうすればお前らは助かる。お前らの心には罪悪感が残る。生き残るために子供の座席を奪ったという罪。罪悪感で心の弱ったお前らを仕留めるくらいのことはできる。
Here's my personal favorite. Donatello, Versace, or Versus, depending on the translation team. Someone who wants to know the reason they have had a terrible life. He was fated to meet Father Pucci. Donatello has a backstory that was a homage to the movie Holes, in which someone steals sneakers from charity and drops them from a rooftop, and it lands in the possession of a kid. Which the system then promptly puts them in juvenile correction center for circumstantial evidence, because that's what you do.
He did tell him the truth. They did fall from the sky. Those shoes do be dropping.
Donatello then starts to have a wacky stand shenanigans, in which he starts having unexplained phenomenon happen, such as worms and pus leak out of his hand for like 2 weeks. Can you imagine having like that shit like come out of your hand, or like any part of your body?
Just straight worms and all kinds of goop.
And this only happened.
He died from an infection.
Yeah, he could have died from the infection. Plus, he found this by a randomly buried knife that was just so happened to be jutting out.
You don't bury your knife's point up?
Not at all. Now you may ask, what's his stand ability? And that is simply just Underworld, or Underworld has the ability to unearth memories. He literally digs up the past. This is a varied ability in which he can trap people in plane crashes. He can bring up memories of individuals such as Sports Max to bring in enemies. I'm not sure if he can like copy what they've done with said stand abilities. Like if he dug up the past of like, let's say, another random stand user that lived in Miami, because it could have happened. There could have been like another stand user, right?
The Earth stores all the memories.
He might not be able to like direct the attack towards Jolene and enemies, but they exist.
Dig up a stand user that has like a AoE attack and just kind of send it. I mean, he did bring like the entire 1997 Dallas. What was it? The Salt Lake linebackers or whatever.
Yeah, and he can also like bring up like, not even that, but like weather phenomenon, like salt evaporating, like seawater evaporating, to like stop like the snail attack that's like from heavy weather. He can bring back like gunshots, car crashes, like you name it. He can do anything within the radius of Miami. That is huge. The only reason why he lost is because Pucci was already the main villain, and then they gave him like a 2-day notice. My man's got robbed.
Like, all right. My man got turned into a snail.
Like in the anime, they like had like Dio's theme in when he was like explaining about his backstory and about his motivations and stuff, and like he also has like the same like characteristics when saying his stand. It's so fucking cool.
そして俺は今これまでのわけのわからない人生の意味がはっきりと分かった。能力アンダーワールド。だが今コントロールできるからといってそれはこのプッチ神父のおかげだから感謝しろというのか。違う。俺にはもともと父親ディオの血が流れているのだ。神父、お前が一体どれだけ偉いというのだ。なんだったらお前もあの飛行機に乗せてやろうか。俺は失敗もしてないのに何もしてないのに。
Donatello has a very Dio-esque personality. He's full of himself, and he wants to be the one to achieve happiness and results for his own pleasure. During the fight, he constantly talks back to Pucci, and Pucci's just being a sassy bitch throughout the fight.
Fair enough. Right?
Like at one point, Poochie's like, hey, you need to, well, you gotta watch out for Jolene. She's gonna beat you, man. She's gonna do something. And he's just like, shut the fuck up. Poochie's like, all right, are you talking to me? There's nobody else in here. Like, so the whole fight, he's like, yeah, I knew that wouldn't work. He's like, yeah, of course you knew that wouldn't work. You. Like, why are you here, Poochie? Why are you here if you're not going to provide constructive criticism? You can get out of the hole. if you want to fight him yourself, pull out your sea moon. Oh wait, no, you can't. You're prepping up. At one point during the fight, he digs up Weather's. He digs up a copy of Poochie and takes Weather's memory disk, and that causes a shit ton of problems with everyone. Well, for everyone.
Actually, in the panel, what he does is that he can't take like memories of things because those memories aren't real. That's just part of his stand ability. He can construct the memories, but they're not like they're not long lasting. All right. So what he did is that he dug up Poochie's memories and he found out where he was hiding Weather's disc, and then he just like when he was getting launched back by Jolene, you see his arm like touch like Poochie's vest, or not his vest, but his like overcoat, and that's where he grabbed it from.
I didn't notice that. I figured whenever he did like the underworld stand and he dug up bits, like that was like if he dug up say like a copy of Jolene, like he could reach in that copy's pocket and it kind of like took from the person. But you know what you're saying makes more sense, I guess.
Like he could like if he looks at the copy, he can check the pockets, or like have a memory of when they look at their pockets or whatever, and he can see inside of it. But he can't like materialize them.
Okay, that's where my misunderstanding of the stand came from. Whoops. He grabs Jotaro's memory disk from Emporio, and then proceeds to turn into a snail, crash a car, and kill Weather by accident.
And then Poochie goes ahead and kills him, and he sets him up as a little like decoy.
Once again, solidifying the fact that they're just to be used by him, that he is the inheritor of Dio's will.
Now that we have covered the Sons of Dio from Stone Ocean, the one in which everyone knows about, Giorno, fate was about to cuck him as well as being in a shut-in due to the abuse he suffered as a child, but one chance encounter where he does something good for another, as to hide and lie to gangsters from finishing off another mobster, the mobster then instills the good one can do from the shadows of the criminal underworld. The journey Giorno embarks is one that challenges the resolve as an individual, that is supported by the golden heart inherited by the Joestars, and the allies he has put his trust into. Okay,
what I was gonna say is that Giorno could have very easily, like, slipped onto the path that Dio's other children could have, if it not had been for the one fate encounter with that mobster, bringing in once again the key factor of fate and destiny.
With my ability to dig up the past, I can do anything and everything to defeat the Joestars.
Anything within your range? You can dig up anything?
Yeah, that's kind of my gimmick.
So let's just say, for example, we were in New York.
Where are you going with this?
You could recreate the events of 9/11.
Holy shit!
Hi, Hermes here. Jolene, what the fuck?
I'm a crazy drug goblin, but even I think that's too much. It's a national tragedy.
I mean, I was just spitballing there. If you were half the stand user Dio was, you would do it. I'm Southern Poochie. Yeehaw.